Hello.
Hi.
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 Hello.
I'm curious about
Building open, authentic, loving relationship.
I'm curious about jealousy.
I'm curious about polyamory.
Does it just mean that you're fucking all the time?
How can I tell my parents that my partner is already married?
I'm curious about
How do you know when you're too busy to have another relationship?
I'm curious about dominant and subordinate relationships.
I'm curious about sexual health.
How can relationships evolve with people as they grow and change?
Chaos cooking is literally you invite a bunch of people and you invite them. It's like a potluck, right? But instead of bringing food, they bring all the ingredients and extra tools if they need them to cook something. So everyone's instead of bringing a cooked dish, everyone's bringing all the ingredients to cook a dish, and then you just all cook at the same time. That's why it's called chaos cooking. Welcome to the Curious Fox podcast. For those challenging the status quo in love, sex, and relationships. My name is Effy Blue.
And I'm Jacqueline Misla. And today we're talking about date nights, specifically going beyond dinner and a movie to create experiences with intention, experiences that are tailored to your relationship needs at that moment.
We say date night, but we actually mean date night, day, weekend, just that intentional time allocated. You know, it's like the euphemism that we say the bedroom when we actually mean like our sex lives, and we just you know, we buck against that sometimes and we just like lean into it sometimes, but we just want to say, you know, take the sex out of the bedroom, it's more fun.
That's what I was just going to say. Yes, it actually not doing the thing, not doing it in the bedroom actually makes it better. And only not having a date at night actually makes it better. Daytime dates are awesome.
Exactly. Like breakfast dates. I love a breakfast date.
Brunch dates. Stop it, Effy.
Dates. Ugh, right?
Brunch in Brooklyn.
So just to put it out there, we say date night as a euphemism for like that intentional time that you spend with your partner or your partners.
Yes. Well, that being said, it is date night at my house tonight. It is date night. Yes. We have done one other before, which I'll talk about. We're going to give a bunch of different tips and ideas later in the episode. So I'm going to share some of mine. But tonight specifically, it is arts and crafts night. We have some clay and we're gonna do kind of like a ghost.
I was just gonna say that sounds yes, I like it. Are you gonna do like ghost reenactment?
Exactly. We'll have maybe some like paint, I don't know, body paint or regular paint or charcoal. That was the other thing. So you see how excited I just got. The other thing we're going to do is I was like, oh, you need to draw me like they did in Titanic. Like I'm going to lounge naked on the sofa and with charcoal. So so tonight is arts and crafts. We just have a bunch of different supplies and we're going to have some fun.
You know, there's that kit that, I mean, we're going to go into this, but since we got excited so early, there is that kit that you can get where essentially you put body paint on each other and you have sex on a canvas and then you get busy.
Yes, my wife and I did that. You put stuff, put paint all over you. You get on the canvas and we have it hanging now in our bedroom. Yes. It's a huge, beautiful canvas, which if you look at it, it looks like abstract art.
Yes.
If you look closely, there may be some like booty prints and some other things. But
yes, exactly. I've seen a few of those. Now that I've seen enough of those, when I go into someone's bedroom, I'm like, I know that. I know what this painting is about.
Yes.
So, good one.
See, some good fun date nights. And I've had some really bad date nights that was just not afterwards, on like the drive or the walk home when there's like tension, silence, you're like, oh, that did not go well.
What do you know what made them a bad date night? Like, do you have access to that? Like when you look back, I'm like, oh, it was terrible because of like this.
Yeah, maybe because it was forced. Like maybe there was like some tension that already existed that went unnamed, but we're like somehow dinner at an Italian restaurant was going to like fix the thing. Or one person was just like not as into it. One person wanted to go home. The other one wanted to stay out. So there was like mixed kind of needs. So yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, so a date night, essentially, or date, we're saying date night. So a date night has the potential to be time intentionally allocated to be in service of the relationship and those in it, right? And it's not in service of the relationship or those in it if it feels like an obligation or a chore or forced, right? Which is one of the things that you said, right? If it's supposed to fix something there and then, or if it feels like an afterthought, it's like, oh, damn, date night, what was I supposed to do? Right? If it feels haphazard, like no one's really thought about it. It's in the calendar. So you're saying I'm going to show up, but nothing is really organized and it feels like a bit of a shit show. Like those do not make good date nights.
As many times we've done this podcast, many a time, you talk about how things are in service to the relationship. And each time you say it, it feels genuinely like the first time. I'm always like, oh yeah. Like you say, a relationship is, the purpose of it is to be in service of those who are in it. And so if it no longer is serving you, that's something to think about and talk about. And I hear you saying, well, date nights need to be experiences that are in service of the relationship. So yes, it always feels like the first time, and I need you to explain it to me again.
Sure. I mean, so we're around each other all the time, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're spending quality time. What we're doing is spending quantity of time with one another, right? And so when we're saying, okay, we're going to spend, this is date night, I think what we want to do is decide or become aware of or investigate or be curious about what the relationship might need that day, right? So what the relationship and the people need to thrive, to level up, to, keep providing and being in service around that time. So is it that you need more connection in your relationship, or do you need more fun and playfulness in your relationship? So it's really about understanding, like, what are the needs? What does the relationship need in that moment? In terms of like quality of the experience, right? We talk about quality time. So like, what is the quality of that time that you are hoping to engage in? And then be intentional with that. Okay, so the relationship, the relationship needs some light and fun time. It needs some, it would benefit from like growth and learning, right? Or we need connection, or even a specific type of connection, like a sexual connection or intellectual connection, right? So really getting like investigating, getting curious about what the relationship needs, then be intentional. Okay, that's what we're doing. And then be creative, right? How can you do that? How can you have fun? How can you grow together? How can you connect?
Yeah. Okay. So then that makes sense to me. I've been doing that. I don't think I've named it in service of the relationship, but the idea of doing a relationship assessment, one of the tools that I use with my partners, and some language actually that we use in our house, is around having a full or empty tank. And so looking at it like it's a fuel gauge in a car, right? And so when your fuel gauge indicates in your car that your tank is low, then you have to go and fill it up with gas. Or if you don't have to. It's just letting you know that's the case. But at some point, it's going to get stalled, right? And same is true in relationships, is that if your relationship tank starts to get empty, at some point you can keep going, you can push through, but it's going to get stalled. And so that's common language in our house, is we'll ask each other, are you feeling full? Are you feeling empty? Like, what do we need there? And one of the tools that I created with my clients, and I'll share the link in the show notes, is a fuel gauge activity. So it looks like a little fuel gauge, and you think about different aspects of your life, or in this case of your relationship, and you say, how full do I feel here? So in terms of connection with your partner, how full do you feel? Do you feel connected? Do you feel like there is emotional intimacy, or however you're defining that? Do you feel like there's playfulness and joy and fun? Do you feel like there is, to your point, opportunities for growth, that they're learning about you, that you're learning about something new? And so every once in a while, I'll go through that activity on my own, and my partners will, to say, okay, where are we in these buckets? And then we know where to fill the tank. We know what we need to do to fill those tanks. Right.
Once you have that kind of clarity, and that I've seen your worksheet, your heart sheet, your home sheet. I think we need to find a name for it that isn't just worksheet, but like
growth sheet.
Growth sheet. Oh, I like growth sheet. The tool that you've developed, and it's great. It's a great tool, and it's worth doing. And then evaluate, right? Once you know what tank needs to be filled, then you get creative. And I think that's when kind of That's kind of when the fun begins, right? And I think here it's also worth saying, like, sometimes date nights are considered to be big gestures. Like, you spend a lot of money and you get all dressed up. Like, there is this expectation, there is this obligation, there is this ostentation that is associated with a date night. And it just doesn't have to be that at all, right? You can have some awesome, creative, intentional, tank-filling date nights.
Yes. Actually, my last anniversary with my partner, we sat down beforehand and said, okay, we started with, how do you want to feel? So before we decided what it is we wanted to do, we decided how do we want to feel that day? And we both decided that we wanted something more casual, that we wanted something that felt connecting, but that didn't feel like it was a production. And so then we decided, okay, we're not going to get dressed up. Okay, we're going to order in, but we're going to order in from our favorite restaurant that we love. Like, we decided things that felt then casual because neither of us had the energy to put intention into a big deal. But yeah, because you're right. If not, the default setting would be, let's get dressed up. And that might be the case. There are definitely days where I want to get all dressed up and go out somewhere. That was not one of those times. But yeah, I think that the classic idea of a date night is, you get a sitter, you go out to dinner, maybe you see a movie, and then you come home. And we can be more creative than that.
Totally. And also the common misconception that a date night's really for two people. There's pressure of that sometimes, that you and your partner, your one partner need to go out, and it's somehow proof that relationship is functioning really well because you two are on a date, like on a solo date night. I think there needs to be some room for maybe, like, if you're in a, if there's two of you, if you're in a monogamous relationship, or if you're currently dating one person, maybe it's a couples date night. Maybe you align with some other friends and you go together, and it's like still date night vibes, so with intention, but also putting in some social elements to it. Yeah, it's true. And if you have multiple partners, it's an opportunity to get together in a way that, there's not a conversation necessarily about the relationship. It's not about the structure. It's now just about being together and spending time together. So you and I put our heads together and we thought of, I don't know, it feels like a million, but it's probably like 30 ideas for different date nights based on the different things that you would need. So if you're at home, you are going to look up the fuel gauge activity. You're going to sit down and assess, where do I feel full in my relationship? Where is there some places that feel empty? Your partners will do the same. And then based on what you come up with, here's some ideas for you to try. Right. And I think also, just to add in there, here's some ideas to avoid as well. I want to put that in there.
No, totally. That makes sense. Okay. So let's look at what a relationship may need. Let's say you're in a new relationship. First of all, that NRE, I'm jealous. Or I'm not jealous. I'm envious. I have to use my words wisely. I'm envious of your NRE. But let's say you're in a new relationship and you're just getting to know each other, or you've been in a relationship for a while and it's an opportunity to clear your cache, right? To see them new and different. Yeah. Just as an example, I was walking my daughter to school the other day, and it was halfway through the walk that she looked at me and said, "Oh, you have red lipstick on." Now, I had red lipstick on all morning, all through the first part of the walk. We had conversation together, but suddenly in that moment, she realized it. And I thought immediately, I was like, oh, she didn't clear her cache. Like, what she thinks about me and who I am is how she is seeing me. And she somehow saw me anew in that moment. So let's say you want to get to know each other again as a couple, a relationship that you've been in for a while, or getting to know each other newly. There's some different tools you can use. There's some relationship cards that are out there. I've used and/or, that's the name of the brand, and Holsti. We've used Holsti cards.
We did use Holsti.
And Astaire Perel now has a deck out. Like, there are all these conversation starter cards that I have definitely used that has been interesting, that they shared questions I would not have thought of.
Sure. They're the 36 questions. The famous 36 questions
the New York
that
Times.
The New York Times did an article on. Yeah. So if you just search for 36 questions, it'll come up on your favorite search engine. And those are great as well. And they're free and readily available.
Yeah. So you can do that. You can take certainly a personality test. There are a bunch online. They're like the ones that take an hour and a lot to fill out. And then there's some other really fun ones. You can do the versions, like the BuzzFeed versions of it, which tells you like who you would be as a Harry Potter character. Like you can find some fun personality tests to do. Sure. Or you can do a virtual tarot card reading together.
Yes, we did that.
Really get to know each other in a very different way. We did. Yeah, if you listen to episode 98, Magic, Embodiment, and Sexuality with Haylin Belay. Yeah, we did some tarot card reading and it was fun and interesting and enlightening.
Sure. I mean, I think tarot cards get a bad rep, including from me for a long time. They got a bad rep. They are a great reflection tool. Like this is not about woo-woo. This is not about like telling the future. Tarot card readings are a great way to like reflect on what you're hearing, and you can ask questions to the cards. You can ask questions about yourself, about your relationship, about whatever you want to ask. You're gonna get answers, and you get to reflect, and it's fun. It's a fun activity, and it's a fun way to get to know each other. It's a good fun way to reflect together and see where you align, where maybe you don't. Yeah, fun times.
Yeah,
I think Haylin actually offers them online. Yeah.
Yes, I did my own. I did a tarot card reading online.
Oh, you did?
I did, and I learned a lot about myself. One day I shall share. I will share the things that I learned through that experience. But yeah, that was really fun. And my partner and I we have a deck at home. So every once in a while we'll say, let's pull a card. And what is interesting about it from a getting to know you place is the question that the person will ask is actually the most interesting part, right? Sure. So you read the cards and that'll be interesting, seeing their reaction to it, but seeing what's on their mind that they're curious about, and then reading a card and seeing and hearing their reaction to that, whether or not that message resonates or doesn't. That's like the starting point for a conversation that you may not have had otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good.
So let's say you do your fuel tank activity and you realize that connection, that really spending time together without distractions, that is the thing that you want. Because you said earlier, right, particularly in COVID, all of us were around each other all the time, but we were working, we're on our phone, we're TikToking, we're Instagramming, doing all the things. What if we want to spend time together without those distractions? What could we do? And one of the things, frankly, because we're on all those devices, is turn off all the devices. We can have an electricity-free date night where there is candlelight and cooking over fires and activities that involve, frankly, creativity, because you can't do anything with any digital device. But having something that literally shuts off anything that could be a distraction so that you can be fully present to each other.
Absolutely. Another fun thing that you can do without leaving the comfort of your couch and still feel like it's, quality connection time is you can create a couple's bucket list together, right? Which is like a beautiful mixture of getting to know you and connecting and planning for the future, which feels like investment into the relationship. So you still get to be creative. You get to kind of maybe go into the fantasy space, and that kind of interesting. Might get you in the mood for like checking off some of those bucket lists that night. So like that's another connection activity.
I love that. Yes, I love that. I love it to your point in kind of sexual connection, intimate connection, but also where do we want to travel in the world? What activity do we want to do once it get warmer or colder or anything like that? Yeah, love that. The other thing that I can think of that I've done in order to feel connected and not distracted is cooking together, because you're focused on the meal, you're focused on the preparation. Maybe there's music, maybe there's, wine or cider or something. And you're just in that space, in that moment with each other, creating something together and then sitting and eating it together. Love that.
Yes. Also, collaboration is a thing. I mean, I definitely enjoy, like, collaboration is such a, like, for me, it's one of the qualities that I look for in a relationship. And like cooking something together is all about collaboration. And there's something about navigating, especially something like a New York kitchen, which is a tiny space, around each other while you create something together and be able to do that. In an ideal situation, you kind of do that in flow. I think that's also reassuring for the relationship.
Yeah. I know that you've done something, and this is with friends, right? Where you all cook at the exact same time.
Yeah. Chaos cooking, one of my favorite pastimes. Chaos cooking quick interlude, friends. Chaos cooking is a lot of fun. Chaos cooking is actually you invite a bunch of people and you invite them. It's like a potluck, right? But instead of bringing food, they bring all the ingredients and extra tools if they need them to cook something. So everyone's, instead of bringing a cooked dish, everyone's bringing all the ingredients to cook a dish. And then you just all cook at the same time. That's why it's called chaos cooking, and it's fun. It's a good. It's if there's a lot of people, you can kind of bunch it like appetizers, mains, and desserts. But there's something about like everyone's cooking at the same time, and then of course everybody cleans up at the same time. It's a lot of fun. I do recommend it. You can also do that as a date night, but it's also a great friends night.
That sounds, for me, like a sheer nightmare. That sounds like, I love the idea of it, but the idea of everyone on top of each other and putting things together, like, oh no. But I love that you love that. And I love that it could involve other people, that it's not just two people together. It can be multiple relationships. It can be, I love it. Sure. I love it. I love it.
Also, if you're a nerdy cook, you also get to learn from each other. So like if you're if everyone's like a nerdy cook and they're bringing like to do something special, it's also a good opportunity to be like, oh, like that's how you like blanch your whatever, you know, it's kind of, that's also that's in there as well.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move to another category where we may need some insertion of some gas in that particular category in our relationship around fun and playfulness and joy. And that sparked that for me because one of the things that my partner and I did in one of our date nights is that we had a bake-off. She fancies herself a great baker and a great chef, which she is. She's good at all those things. But anytime that she says, you know, well, I think she put something out there like, I could do it better than you. And I was like, can you now? Can you?
I accept your challenge.
Exactly. I accept. And so what we did, and so she made a flan and I made cinnamon donuts. That's what I made. I made cinnamon donuts. The challenge was, our flaw was that there was no external judge. So she thought hers was better. I thought mine was better. And so nobody won, but we ate lots of dessert. But that was cooking, being in the kitchen, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I think it's important, you know, it could be something like that. Definitely bake off, dance night. I'm a big fan of a dance night. You can either like have a dance or you can learn a choreography. Then if you really want to do like a TikTok or an Instagram reel, that's like bonus. But that's also fun. And also being active in that way, like playfulness around dancing is I think is just good for you. Being in your body, making shapes with your body and learning choreography. That's, I think, you know, it's a fun thing to do. So if lightness and playfulness and joy is what you need, then like think about that. Also, outside activities, you know, like you can go roller skating, bike riding, and my favorite, trampolining.
Yeah.
Something, you know, silly like that is also a lot of fun.
Yeah. When I think about the fun, playful, joyful category, and I'm thinking about that for myself, I think, what did I love to do as a kid? And bringing some more of that, like what does put my grown-up self aside. And yes, I loved riding my bike and jumping and a trampoline and having arts and crafts nights and coloring in coloring books, getting an adult coloring book or playing a video game, doing like a battle, a Mario Kart battle or a puzzle. One of the things that my partner and I have done is we did a camp night, indoor camp night, and I did a reel. We'll connect it. We'll put it on Instagram so everyone can see. But we set up a tent. Well, of course, we don't have a tent. We're in Brooklyn, New York. But we put up a big lamp and we just put in some like towels and blankets and like created our own tent. We put fire like place on the television. So it looked like there was fire. We put pillows all on the floor and then we made s'mores. We made s'mores atop the stovetop and we sat inside of our tent with our fire eating s'mores and we put on like the sound of crickets and stuff. It was fun. It was really cute.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like putting it together, doing the thing, taking it apart. Like the whole thing felt like whimsy. Like it felt silly. Like why would a 40-year-old woman who, you know, is by day is doing social justice work and change management, like at night, I'm like setting up like blanket fort tents and eating s'mores. Like it was just whimsical and fun and silly. And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, it brings balance, right? If you're doing all that serious work by day, your fun and playfulness and joy and lightness and silliness is probably exactly what you need. And you get to do that as a part of a date night.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so that's been on my list. The other category that I have really dug into at times, and I felt like that my tank was not full, was around growth. I mean, certainly you and I are personal growth junkies. And so let me go to the workshop, let me read the book, let me listen to the podcast. But I found that there were times when our conversations and in my partnership or my marriage would become stale. How was your day? It was good. How was that meeting? It was good. What do you want to eat? When are we going to do laundry? Right? And like, it was just that. And I wanted to talk about something new. I wanted to say, listen to a podcast or read a book or something and be like, did you know that? And then it opens the door to a new conversation. But opportunities to learn something together, I think, is a great way to spend some time.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm also a learner, a lifelong learner. Like my brain is happy when she's learning. Like that's when she's at happiest. And doing that with a partner, which then becomes a common shared experience. And also then that person kind of becomes a thought partner on that. So if you went and learned, even if it's something like paper mache making, right? You went and learned paper mache making. It doesn't have to be anything like uber intellectual. It could be something crafty, or you maybe learn a language, or you went to a dance class where you like learning ballroom dancing or Latin or something. Then you have a partner where you can also like think and talk about that more. Like if you've done paper mache class, can you talk about all the cool things you can do with paper mache? If you went and read a book together, can that be your like private personal book club? Then you get to talk about that more. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there when you are doing a growth focused date night.
Yeah. We've even done reading a book to each other. So we have a book that we're working on, and like every night, again, kind of going back to like being a kid, like I read my daughter bedtime stories. And so it's like at night we get into bed and we read the same thing, or somebody reads out loud. But you mentioned learning a language. I love that one. I haven't done that yet. But I think that if I was going to do that, I would want there to be some like culmination activity. So if we learn something, either we go to then a restaurant of that culture and language and like practice, or maybe even we plan a vacation to that place and we practice. But I would love to do that in like preparation for an experience. I think that would be pretty cool.
Foreign films. I'm a big fan of foreign films.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're learning a language, I find foreign films with like English subtitles are a good way to get submerged into that relationship. Like there's amazing Spanish cinema. There is obviously like the French, if you want to go there, you have like the French contingent. All these languages have good film options as well. So you can do that. You can like start learning a language and start watching foreign movies together.
Yeah. And then go to Spain or France, right? I mean, I think that's something on the list. If variety is the thing that you need more of in your relationship, maybe going somewhere together.
Yeah, if it's available to you, absolutely. Like travel. I think traveling with a partner is great. But if you want to do like a date experience, you can actually definitely plan a vacation and do that. You can plan a staycation, right? You can sort of turn your house into, I don't know, a French bistro.
A spa. Exactly.
A spa, right?
Yeah.
So that's also an option.
Yeah. Or weekends somewhere local or something like that. Or even experiencing your city anew. Yeah, I'm born and raised in New York, have lived in other places, have lived abroad, always come back to New York. And there's so much about New York that I don't know. I just didn't experience with my mom and my nieces and my daughter this weekend. And we were learning all about the train system and Times Square and the ball drop. And it was fascinating. I didn't know any of those things. I've lived here forever. And so even just relearning your own, if you live in a city where they have those like bus tours or walking tourrs,
be a tourist in your hometown.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And if you can't, to your point, if you can't go out, then bring it to you. You can stream a concert. You can stream an opera, a play. Like you can bring some of that outside into your house if you need some variety. If you need to mix it up past the news or the Netflix and you want something new, stream something from the outside, bring it in.
Absolutely. If you want to sort of go more on the traditional side of things, right? If you want to go date night really for romance, then you have some options there too, right? Like stargazing. I think it's like as romantic as it gets. You know, find some park or some, darker part of where you live. Maybe go up onto a roof or a terrace, go stargazing. There are a couple of really awesome apps actually that I have on my phone when you kind of you turn your phone to the sky and it uses geolocation to know where you are and what your sky looks like in that moment, and will tell you the stars, and then we'll give you the star constellations and the names.
Wow.
Yeah. And as you move it around, you can kind of get nerdy with it as well. Like that's a really fun date activity. Just go and find, a little dark spot where you can see the stars, have a look and see what constellations you see.
Or even include a sunset in there. Do sunset, then it gets dark, then you look at the stars. Do you see this? You see what's happening right now? We're just planning all the dates for you.
All the dates.
Love it. So if romance is the thing that you need more of in your relationships, then I think that's a great idea. Giving each other massages. Love that idea. I have done that at home myself. And it's just something that feels, again, it's connecting. You are very much in your body. You're paying attention to someone else's body. You're paying attention to how they feel, the sounds that they're making. So that has been a really lovely experience to do massages at home.
Also doing like acts of service stuff but make it kind of a little special. So things like setting up beer and wine tasting or playing mixologists, or cooking for one another, like one person cooks for the other person and kind of like serves them, or vice versa, and then reverse on another date. So things you can just really dial up that romance dial and get like really mushy and romantic, for your date night. So you can have your romance tanks filled.
Yeah. We've done mocktails. We've done like smoothies, like fruit and juice smoothies and things like that, making that together for the first time. And again, it's like a different version of cooking. And then what if you want to play with some of that food in some sexy time? Like maybe sexual connection is the thing that you need more of when you do your fuel gauge activity. And so there's a lot of things I think that we can do to spend some time there, including getting out of the bedroom, taking it into the kitchen and playing there.
Yes, getting out of the bedroom. I think even if you're having sex regularly, I would just check in to see whether you're just on autopilot. Like if you're just, stuck in your own sexual script and you are kind of just doing the same thing, even those people who are having sex regularly, even like once, twice a week, 3 times a week, sometimes you're doing it because it's the thing to do and you've kind of got, you have matching libidos and it ends up on a list of like things that couples do. So you do it and you actually kind of just doing the same thing over and over again. And I think a date night could be a real opportunity to change that up. And there are many ways you can do that. One of my favorite, of course, because I'm as nerdy as it gets, even when it comes to sex, taking like a class, taking a class, either attending one in person. Now you can. And since COVID, there are a bunch of digital ones available, be it recorded ones or in-person ones in Zoom situation you can attend in person from all around the world. So I think those are a really good opportunity to go learn something new and then test it out with your partner or your partners.
Yeah. Actually, if you are a Patreon member, you can go onto Patreon and find all of our workshops that are there. You can binge on those. And there's some really fun ones. We did, there's a workshop on BDSM. There's a workshop on the vulva. And there was a live demonstration with Stella Harris. That was really amazing. And so, yeah, go there. If you're looking for a class, you're looking for a place to start on Patreon. If you want to try something new, try something fun, think about maybe doing something different, like maybe some butt play if you haven't done that before. You and I did an episode on that. It was episode 67, butt plugs and pickup lines. And we did a conversation recently with Lola Jean about plugging and butt stuff, episode 94. And so I don't know if that's something you want to try, sexual connection, trying something new. There's some resources that are available to you.
Also, if you're brave, you don't have to be that brave, but just put it on the table as something that you might gather some energy, some interest to go and do, is to see a pro dom. That I think is a really fun thing to do as a couple or whatever your relationship structure is. See a professional dominatrix and see if you can create some of your fantasies together. See if you can learn some stuff to do to each other or learn stuff about yourself. I think actually spending a couple of hours with a pro dom is a great date night idea.
Yeah, we had a conversation with Miss Shayla, episode 86, on how to find a sex worker. And so that's something you could explore. If you're like, oh, wow, that's now your pro doms at butt play, that's on this side of the spectrum. If you want to go back to the other side of the spectrum, there are things you can do too. You and your partner or partners can go toy shopping. And you can find some fun sex toys that you can play with. You can do Tantra together. We just had a conversation with Barbara Carrellas, Exploring Tantra, episode 110, where we talked about, and all you need is breath. That's it. Actually, you don't need toys. You can go get some toys if you want to play, but all you need is presence and breath to do that activity and stay connected.
Exactly. I think whatever you can do to expand your existing sexual connection and just creative approach to that, you can then turn it into a date night or date day, date weekend, whatever is working for you, and get creative,
Yeah. I want to add that date nights, or whatever we're calling it now, date days, date experiences, are not just for romantic partnerships. I think it's important to plan intentional activities that serve the relationship based on the needs of that relationship, right? That's how we're defining it. With friends, with family, with yourself. My daughter and I started movie and meals together. And so we find a movie and then we find a meal that is associated, like themed with that movie. So for example, we watched Turning Red and we ate dumplings. We watched West Side Story and we ate some Puerto Rican food. Like we find a meal that's related to the movie. We watch it together. That has been a lot of fun. Certainly arts and crafts is big in my house, if you haven't realized that yet. And we've done painting together, painting portraits, painting the dog. So things like that, with even just leaving the house to go for a walk or to get some ice cream or hot chocolate or whatever it is. For me, when I'm inside the house, all I can see is the dishes and the mess and the bed that needs to be made. And for me to be really fully present sometimes with my daughter, I'm like, we need to get outside. Let's go for a walk. Yes. Let's go to the park. Let's do something external that is fun and playful. I mean, all the things that we mentioned around play and connection, you can apply here. The roller skating and the bike riding and the trampolining, like all those things.
Yeah, I love destination food, like going somewhere completely, like somewhere that you just wouldn't go for any other reason, and then go and find like that ice cream or that dessert or that, special fries with, special spices on it, or like going on blogs and finding this like one thing, this one, shop, that tiny little independent shop does in the middle of like another borough if you're in, if you live in New York, but anywhere, and you go on a day on a specific destination to eat that thing is definitely one of my favorite date activities for sure.
I love that. Actually, you saying search reminded me of something that I've also done with both my daughter and my partner separately, is scavenger hunts. So I have, like in the fall, for example, have done it with my daughter, and we'll list a bunch of different colors. And she has to find things out in a walk that are those different colors or shapes. With my partner who loves dogs, we did a dog scavenger hunt where we wrote down like different breeds, but also like, a three-legged pup or a pup with a bow tie or like things like that, or a purple collar. And then we just like walked around the neighborhood and walked to different places, and like whoever could spot it first. And we did a little scavenger hunt of dogs. So that was really fun.
Yeah, that sounds like right up my alley as well. And I think the other thing that we don't talk enough about is date with yourself, right? That is extra important for many reasons, because our tanks also get empty in the relationship with ourselves, right? Which is also a relationship that we need to nurture, and it needs to be a relationship that nurtures us back, hopefully. And I think our tanks get empty in that relationship too. And I think it's worth doing that kind of self-inquiry to say, okay, what part of my relationship with myself needs a boost, right? I suck at self-care. So I need to have self-care dates with myself. It could be something simple as like physical self-care. So I'll do like a spa day for myself, or it'll be like, okay, I need to do an extra long meditation, extra long yoga, maybe do like some 5 rhythms, like do a whole couple of hours when I'm really just in my own realm. And that's good just to boost that relationship that I have with myself. Also, getting into a practice of having dates with yourself is great, and feel satisfied and fed by those dates, if you are in a non-monogamous relationship and you date separately with your partner, right? So if you and your partner go on dates, your partner has another partner, or your other partner has whatever your constellation is, at some point, somebody that you love is probably going to be on a date with somebody else, and you might have to be on your own. And I think it's great. You can use that time to connect with friends and get some work done and do the chores, whatever. Also, I think it's good to have a practice of having a date with yourself that you actually look forward to and that feeds you. It's not like you're doing it to distract yourself, but it's something that you're really looking forward to. I think having a bunch of date nights with yourself, like date experiences with yourself, is also really, really important.
Yes, as somebody who I travel back and forth between two homes. And so I'm always with someone, always sleeping next to somebody. I really love and have been intentional about taking time to myself, which could include everything from taking a really long hot shower or a nap, or reading a book, or spending some time to write, or binging on something and ordering my favorite takeout, to going out, getting dressed up, doing something outside, to having a romantic evening with myself. Episode 57, we talked about masturbation as self-love with Stella Harris. And, I think that's a nice little romantic evening with oneself.
Absolutely. And just so healthy and fruitful and satisfying if you really kind of tune into yourself. I don't mean like you go to Hitachi and you do a quickie, like we all do those things. If you catch the episode with Stella, she talks about having a whole ritual around it. And it is a date with yourself. It is a sexy, romantic date with yourself. And you get to court yourself, and you get to tease yourself, and you get to connect to yourself. And hopefully you end up with an orgasm or two, which is like extra super bonus points.
Yeah, I agree. So if you're paying attention, if you're listening to these things, there are so many different ideas. There are so many different episodes that people can listen to to get more ideas. But there's a lot. I think that the takeaway really is, first, decide that you do want to be intentional in your relationships, be it romantic or non-romantic relationships. And then do a little assessment and figure out, okay, where are there some gaps? Where do I feel really full? And where is my tank empty? And then be creative and intentional about creating experiences that can fill that particular gap, fill that need.
Exactly. And make sure that, everybody gets their turn, everybody participates, contributes, and comes up with an idea, that all ideas are celebrated and follow through. And just do them regularly. I think that's the other piece, just to end on that, is that make sure you go on a date night regularly. Is it, every couple of weeks, once a month? But definitely put that date in the calendar. Look forward to it. Be intentional about it. It is good for you. And be creative.
Yeah. And then come into the Facebook group and let us know. Share your ideas there. I now want to make a list of ideas. We should write all of these down, put them on our Facebook group. If you have ideas, things that you have done, if you want to try any of these and send pictures or updates of how it went, the Facebook group is the place to go, because that's where listeners have conversation with each other. So I am going to have my date night tonight. I'm going to do my arts and crafts. I'm going to be sketched, and I'm going to play with clay, and it's going to be really fun.
Very avant-garde. Well, after those great ideas, just before we wrap up, I have a feeling you might have a soapbox that you need a moment for.
I do. We haven't done a soapbox moment in a long time. So if you are new to the podcast and a new listener, welcome. Every once in a while, Effy and I would use this platform essentially just to get on a soapbox. We were like, if we're going to have a podcast, we're going to have a microphone.
Right, why not? And we work so hard. We are very intentional about not ranting, not being prescriptive. Like there are a whole bunch of qualities that we really keep front of mind. And we'll correct ourselves. We'll like stop mid-conversation and like rewind and like say, let's not say that. Let's be more descriptive, invitation. So we're very intentional about the way that we set the tone for these episodes. And then every now and then we're like, come on, people. We just need a soapbox for a moment.
Permission.
Exactly. Yes. Just a minute. It's not going to be more than a minute. Just that's it. So with that in mind, Jacqueline Mister, I invite you on to the Curious Fox soapbox. Go for it.
Yes. So my soapbox moment, actually, what we were just talking about, is about masturbation. Now, I should clarify, it is not about the activity of masturbation. I love the activity of masturbation. No problems there. What I do not like is the word masturbation. It is the clunkiest, non-sexiest word. Because, like, think about when you're saying, you know, I want to have sex. Like, there's like something in it. There's like, you know, something sensual. But to say I want to masturbate, like, it's just like the T and the B, like, it just really, it doesn't. It like takes away from like the feeling of it. And frankly, this is my hypothesis. I believe that we actually don't talk about masturbation that much in the world because the word is so like weird.
Ugly.
Because saying the word masturbation, yes, the word feels ugly. I'm sorry to whomever, like the 17th century or 1700s person who thought of the word masturbation, put that together. Apologies to you, but it's an ugly word. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I don't like it. And so one day, I don't have no idea why this happened for myself, but I was thinking about the word and how much I hate it. And I was saying, you know what? I want to look up the word in other languages because I'm sure in some romantic language or somewhere else, there's some other way to say it that is just much more beautiful that I can use that instead. And there is not, Effy.
No,
there's not. If you go right now, after this episode, just wait till the podcast is done, then Google masturbation in other languages, and it is essentially the word masturbation just said
with an
different.
accent.
It's like
With an accent.
masturbate. Like, it is just masturbation over and over and over. That T and that B exists in almost every configuration of it. I think it's like Norway and like Iceland that have something different. But if you look, it is all the same. Masturbation, it's too much. So I don't like it. And I don't like the euphemisms for it. I just haven't found
like
one
those
that feels, like jerking off again. No. Yeah. Even self-simulation, like that just feels, I don't know, there's nothing. So my soapbox moment is love masturbation, hate the word masturbation. And this is a call to action to think of a new word.
Yes.
We have decided on this episode we don't like date night because not all dates happen at night. We decided we don't like worksheet because doing because personal growth should not feel like work. And now we're adding masturbation to the list. So let's think of new words for these things. Please find a more beautiful way of saying masturbation. And I shall use that way. You know, growing up, there were so many phrases that we used, like salty is an example, right? Someone was real salty. That meant that they had an attitude. They were kind of mean or irritated. Somebody at some point decided that salty meant that. And then we all followed suit. I believe we can have a masturbation revolution. Someone just needs to find the word, start the word. Sure. We will create a blog post about it. We'll do we'll say it on a podcast. We'll try to spread that word as far around the world as we can to try to start a movement. But please, let's get rid of that word and let's find a new one.
I hear you. Masturbation linguistic revolution is what we should call this. Yes. And I am so there with you on your soapbox. And I think the invitation I want to add there is, if you come up, just like Jackie's invitation, if you come up with an idea, reach out to us. You can reach out to us a bunch of places. You can come onto the Facebook group and collaborate on a new word for it. You can jump on our Instagram. You can DM us, or you can leave a note on the post for this episode because we're going to be posting this episode.
Yes.
If you're a Patreon member, just jump on there. You can DM us or comment on them. You can email us, right? You can email us at listening@wearecuriousfoxes.com. You could even like call us and be like, I have the best I have the best name for masturbate, best euphemism for masturbation.
The pronunciation of it. Yes, because I want to hear you say it and pronounce it.
So you can do that, 201-870-0063. All the different ways. So let us know your euphemism, your new word for masturbation, which we will pick and champion until we change the world.
Yes, go to @WeAreCuriousFoxes in any place ever, and then that will get you access to us, to the website, to Instagram, to Facebook. Yeah, reach out to us at all the places. Let us know what your word is, and I am behind it. We are going to start a linguistic revolution.
This episode is produced and edited by Nina Pollock, whom we are happy to go on a friend date any day of the week. Our intro music is composed by Dev Saha. We are so grateful for their work. And we're grateful to you for listening. As always, stay curious, friends. Yeah, stopping. Curious Fox Podcast is not and will never be the final word on any topic. We solely aim to encourage curiosity and provide a space for exploration through connection and story. We encourage you to listen with an open and curious mind, and we'll look forward to your feedback. Stay curious, friends.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.